Hello and welcome to the Thread to Mend podcast. My name is Taylor, coming to you from Baltimore, Maryland, and this is a fiber podcast where we talk about knitting, spinning, fiber prep, sewing, other fiber related crafts. I have just a few things to show you this week. The first is the Tegna Tee shirt that I've been knitting. I placed a stitch marker on Saturday morning when I began knitting this again. I did a lot of yarn surgery that day. Like, I did so much lace knitting surgery that I think I only got above the, just to the stockinette on Saturday when I sat down to knit this. So on Sunday, and then a little bit on Monday evening, I knit all the stockinette body, and I finally made it to splitting the front from the back and knitting up the back. I don't want to go into the details of the pattern. I want to knit the pattern and then dive deep into it when I have the finished object. I do plan to record a kind of yarn review of this fiber. This is the fiber company Cumbria Fingering, and so far I'm loving knitting with this, and I'm loving the fabric it's making, and I'm excited to kind of test wear it and see how it feels and washes and all that. I'm looking forward to working on this project until it's completed and making that a point of focus for the week. Two other things that I had done over this week were, first, I over-dyed some of my Superwash wool. I have a small stash. Most of it's left over from my Penguono, which I also knit from complete stash yarn. I bought one skein at Rhinebeck Sheep and Wool Festival the year before last, and that I knew I was going to put into the Penguono, but everything else I already owned, and it was pretty much my whole stash, but one skein. 2 skeins. And I've previously shown you in other videos in another video how I over-dyed these 3. All of my skeins here, they're all originally Madeline Tosh DK weight yarn. This one you might recognize on top is the Murakami colorway. It's regularly a bright white with bright speckles of pink and yellow and blue and a little red, maybe some green. If you see red light bouncing, there's a fire department vehicle just outside my front windows, so I'm like seeing it now bounce off the light, and you might be noticing that. I was recording a minute ago when they pulled up, and I think everything's gonna be okay, but there is an ambulance outside of my house right now. So I over-dyed these 2 skeins. This kind of ruby red here was originally this cherry red, and the black was originally black, but anywhere you can see that it has brown that I dyed, it was like a white. So it's kind of this chalkboardy black, a soft black, and a very muted black. And this one I just like warmed up. I made it a little darker with that kind of olive green, golden ochre over dye. So, this was just an experiment. I didn't dislike this cherry red at all. I think it could be really fun and interesting, but I didn't like it with my other colors. So I felt like I needed to do something to make this yarn usable for this project, and so I just made it darker. I think I over-dyed it with just black. I definitely tried over-dyeing it with like yellow to see if I could get an orange tinge color, but that didn't pan out. I think I went straight for golden ochre, which is like a deep golden color, instead of going like straight to the bright yellow, where I might have gotten a more kind of burnt orange sort of color. But I never snipped these ends to the tie off, so that's what you're seeing here. Anyway, yeah, the red I'm not sure of. I mean, I like the colors on their own without it, but I'm currently listening to the Harry Potter audiobooks. I'm on book, I want to say 6. I just finished the Order of the Phoenix, and that's where things start getting like really heavy and dark, like really fast. And I think those are the more like profound books, or storylines rather. I mean, the world gets more complex. But yeah, it's like seeing black and green together in a project, I'm just not a fan. I so don't identify as a Slytherin enough to even want to put them together in my regular life. So I'd almost rather go the Christmas route and have a Christmas shawl to knit. But now that I'm thinking about it, like, I have so many projects planned, and if I'm serious about making a shawl with red and green, I might as well save this for November of 2018 to start knitting, because I think it'll be more fun to knit a seasonal object. And so, although the project this week was to dye these yarns, I think that I succeeded in doing that. I met that personal little goal, and I think I have a project plan for this. Now, I have 5 colors, and the pattern I plan to knit uses 4, so I'm thinking of modifying that pattern using color to fit my palette here. I'll post a screenshot of the Ravelry page for this shawl. So the shawl is by Caitlin Hunter, also known as Boylan Knitworks. She designed the Tegna pattern that I am working on now, and she's designed other patterns I've purchased on Ravelry that I have not yet made. And I think I'm going to put this project plan on hold until closer to the holidays. I'm really glad I could make these yarns into colors I want to use together. And I don't know, I mean, if I end up creating a shawl that is vastly different than the one I intend, I'll let you know. So there's those. I also have some finished objects that I've sewn, and I'm going to offer another giveaway. So far I haven't offered giveaways of like other people's things, because I mean, I don't have a ton of people subscribed, so I don't know how like that even happens. But I want to give to you who are watching something that I've personally made, and one, because I can't keep all these things. I want to make stuff, but I don't want to hold on to it all. And also, you know, I'm learning new things all of the time, and so although I would love to post things for sale on Etsy, I'm experimenting with these projects, and so they're not I don't want to say they're not the highest quality, because I wouldn't send something off that might fall apart. It's just that some of my seams are a little messy, and each bag that I've made, I've kind of redeveloped an aspect of it, or like, you know, struggled along the way and didn't realize I could have done a very simple thing to fix that issue. So each bag is kind of an experiment, and I'm just going to show them to you one at a time. And I might spread these bags out as giveaways over the next few weeks. And I do have to announce the winner of last week's giveaway of a skein of hand-spun yarn that I made. And I'm going to put the winner's name below and contact that person to get their mailing address. So congratulations for winning that skein. you'll see that in your mailbox soon. All right, so the finished sewn objects I have to show you are new versions of this little pod I showed you that I made the week before. I put a stitch mark on here, but I lost the little O-ring, so I gotta fix that. So this was my original, and this is the one I'm keeping because I've been using it and I love it. It's great. I do have plenty more black zippers now and more of this fabric, so I will end up making more of these. And because I have the black thread, this is as simple as it is. Because I have the black thread, I'll probably make these to sell online. Because I already have everything I need to make it exactly how I want it. That's not the case with some of these, and I'll go into that. And if I haven't already said this before in a previous episode, my intention for selling things on Etsy is to really kind of fund my own personal project of feeding my feral cats. It is expensive. I calculated, I think last week, how much I spend a year doing that, and I would be doing it, I have been doing it regardless of what money I bring in doing other things, but I think of selling the things that I make as a supplemental income that goes strictly towards that, because what I make back from people is nowhere near what I spend on these cats. So should you see that I post things on Etsy, you can be assured that they're feeding stray cats. So thank you. But maybe that will happen one day. So I talked about how I liked this handle. You can see I just like scooped it up. I like how small the handle is on my hand. I realize that maybe not everyone has small hands or thin hands or whatever, and so they might not like that aspect of just scooping it up in that way. So the first one I made is a red zipper with black thread, and the top stitching is a little wonky. I won't get into all the flaws, but that's the one that really strikes me. The handle's much bigger, so if you wanted one that you could easily just like throw over your arm and not be concerned about, you could definitely wear this over a jacket and not feel weird about it. The inside, yeah, the seaming's not amazing, but yeah, it's not lined, but it is French seams. And this is a vintage fabric I found at the thrift store. It is almost the same weight as this one, which I actually didn't realize. When I was sewing this, I was like, this is the best fabric for this because it holds its shape. It's light and I only need one layer. And I was thinking that this felt thin, but I think it's because it's a bright color and not like so dark and muted that it could be just a hair lighter fabric. But it's very similar. And I got these little tags printed to brand the object. Yeah, I kind of wish that I got tags that are printed on both sides, but it's not a big deal. I kind of like how like subtle it is. It's not, I don't know. Yeah. So since I'm talking about Christmas knitting, I'm gonna give away this bag this week. So if you want this vintage floral red little sock knitting bag, any single skein project will fit in this pouch. Even if it's your first skein of your Tegna t-shirt, it'll fit in here with whatever needles you're using, unless they're straights. So I'm going to give away this one this week. If you want to enter into this giveaway, leave a comment below. It can be whatever you want it to be. The other two are this pretty blue woven fabric one here. This one I haven't decided if I'm going to keep it or sell it or give it away, because this is probably at the end of the day the best one I've made. It has this little flappy thing over the zipper, which it was an okay execution of my intention. I'm not going to go into what it reminds me of, but whatever. The insides are also French seams. There's maybe a few little threads I need to snip. And I was able to fit my tag on this one too. This one was the last one I finished last night, and it came out better than I anticipated, I think, because I'm looking at it now and I'm like, you know, I would feel confident selling this online. The handle is also bigger than my first one. So yeah, so the difference, I'm just going to point out, is that with the first one, the handle, like, it's so close, like it won't, I don't know, it feels like it's like, doesn't really sway. But I want it to be more universal, like anybody can throw this hand on their strap on their hand and feel like it'll work for them. The only reason I might not sell this for monies is that this is a woven fabric and the zipper is sewn on with one seam, so I'm a little worried that if it gets a lot of wear and tear that it could start to fray along that. I don't know. But this is probably one of the best bags. I have enough fabric to make maybe 2 more of these, and I have maybe just 1 more of the same colored zipper. So each bag will be unique unless I try to recreate this, and it might be very similar. And yeah. So all my fabrics that I'm using are reclaimed fabrics from garments at the thrift store, or they're vintage fabrics I've found from the thrift store. I have a ton of this blue and orange paisley. It's a very lightweight, I would guess, polyester fabric, which hopefully I can just use for straps and interior if I need to. I used that fabric on the interior of this one. This green velvet bag is fabric I reclaimed from a dress. So the inside of this bag is that paisley, because the fabric is much more, it's sturdy, like, you know, if you feel it, because it's velvet, it's thick, but it's not stand uprighty. It won't stand up on its own. So I added an interior fabric to this project to give it a little more of that quality. And I attempted to kind of cover up that top zipper, but did so in a very afterthought manner. So the aspect of this bag that is less than best quality to me is that you have to kind of tuck it in with your finger when you zip up the bag. So if I just zip up the bag, it'll, maybe it just needs a little training in the beginning. Yeah, I think so. I'm always looking to see the worst, I think, sometimes. But I do have my little branding on that, subtle. So, yeah, I think this one, we'll see. Maybe it'll end up in the shop. Maybe it will be a giveaway. You know, I might as well, like, try to sell these if I can sell them. So I'm going to put, and I'm making more. I have a lot of zippers. It's just these 3 are what I got through spinning, or these 3 bags are what I got through sewing last night. So I'm going to put these 2 up for sale on Etsy, and I'll leave a comment below if you want to check them out and make a purchase. I'm going to price them very reasonably relative to project bag costs, just so that you know, I'm admitting that this is still a kind of a trial test run, although this one I think is really good. This one's good too. It's just I want to improve on my design. So I'm going to post these for sale online. You can find them when you click on the little arrow to see more. And this one is still a giveaway. So if you want to win this project bag, like I said, comment below. Please subscribe to my channel. Give this little video a like so that it is maybe seen by more people. and I just want to share these things with you. So I'm going to tell you about my cashew drink. So I started recording a little earlier today before I had my breakfast. But because I had set up to record and then I realized I hadn't drank this yet, I thought I would show you exactly what it is because it is my lifeblood. This is the soma of existence. This is a shake that Brian and I make that I came up with one day, and it tastes like Lucky Charms marshmallows. And it's not a powder, and it's not expensive, and it's just a handful of cashews. 3 dates per serving, so we'll do 6 dates if we're making a double batch, which is typically what we do. So in that case, it'd be 2 handfuls of cashews, 6 dates. 3 dates is kind of like it's like a sugar time snack, but it's natural sugar, it's fruit. People that fasted in biblical times consumed dates while traveling. Like, it's a sattvic candy. So cashews, dates, and then mostly water. Brian likes to put ice in it, and I like ice okay to kind of cool it down and bring it to a more refrigerated temperature, but I don't like a slushy like smoothie. I like just a shake, like it's more liquid than a smoothie. And then whatever spinach you can fit in there. So if you don't, I mean, honestly, you can pound spinach into this and it doesn't taste like spinach or whatever, but you can put as much or as little as you want, or not at all. Like, originally we never added spinach, but I decided that I should, and so I do. And then 2 things: powdered vanilla and cardamom. And I bought my powdered vanilla on Amazon to make it more affordable. They do sell it in Whole Foods in the powdered form, and it's like this tiny little jar, and I don't even know what it costs because it's been so long since I bought it, but at least $10, like maybe $17, I don't know. And so I bought it on Amazon to get a lot more for a lot less money, and it's a lot less quality, so much that it's like hardly, I mean, I definitely taste the vanilla, but it's not, it's in no way like close to the premium stuff. So I took it from the packet and put it into a recycled spice jar, so I can just spice my smoothie blender with vanilla and then cardamom. And it's just, I would guess like an 1/8 to 1/4 teaspoon. Probably a 1/4 teaspoon if you're making 2 servings is like going to be more than enough. But I never measure it. I just shake it into the thing, like, yeah. So we call it Cashew Drink, and one time we mixed whiskey in it. It was okay. It was like a white, it wasn't anything. It was just like desperation on New Year's Eve. Like, anyway, Cashew Drink. I love cat mugs. So, it looks like my neighbors called for an ambulance. And so I think my neighbor's going to the hospital, and that's why I'm distracted right now. And she's like scared in my lap. But if I put her down, she'll just like run around and bark. So we're gonna keep going. So I was talking about the color red and Yeah, so I'm not, I'm like so nosy. Let me just see what's going on. I have not done a lot of spinning this week. I took a break from spinning after spinning a whole bunch. And after spinning a whole bunch, I prepared a lot of fiber, like a lot, to spin. So I'm just letting myself knit through some things and then pick spinning back up. Behind me, you might be able to see it. There's all the yarn that I've spun for a hand knit sweater that I'm like, I know that I'm knitting this one now, but like I feel that I'm procrastinating on finding a pattern and knitting that sweater because part of me, because I prepared that yarn from the fleece to what it is, I want to also maybe design the sweater it's knit into, but I've never done that. And so I'm afraid to start trying at it because what if I don't like what I make and blah, blah, blah. But I know I'm just going to do it eventually soon. I think that I need to determine what size needle to use based on a swatch. And swatching, I don't know why it's so hard for me, but I don't enjoy it. Maybe I will if I just give it a go. So that might happen. I'm going to focus on the Tegna and hopefully get through knitting this. And then I have my sock backups, my brioche shawl, and I have a blanket project that's been in real hibernation. That is a project I love to take on long drives because most of the time that I'm in a car for an extended period of time, it's for 8 to 10 hours a day, 2 days, back to back, whatever. And a lot of time that's at night, and I can crochet in the dark. It's much easier for me to crochet in the dark than knit, so I'm kind of hoarding that project away to be completed around that time. I do have a side project for parts of that blanket I've prepared. I really am just using the yarn that I have in stash. I did have a ton. I've knit most of it. But I have about a dresser drawer of Cascade 220 yarn that I originally bought on yarn.com, and I bought like one of every color I think I liked, and I have knit a few Afghans with that. I should say I've knit one I can think of that's now like a dog bed blanket. It's felted because I've washed it in the machine. I might have another one. I can't remember. I think I've only just done one blanket, and then the rest I kind of like treasured. And I've knit other things, like I have a yoga mat bag of granny squares that I crocheted. I'm thinking about making more yoga mat bags too. I think that would be it's something I use like all of the time, and people admire. So I might try to make that. If I'm making things to sell, that could be another good project to whip up and feed kitties with. So that might happen with the scraps, but I am using the skeins that I have to knit or crochet rather a large blanket. I thought that would be my comforter for this winter, but as soon as I realized that my passion was kind of moving away from working on it, I went and bought a wool comforter. So, which I don't regret. Like, you don't need a heated blanket when you have a wool comforter because that fiber is the most insulating thing I've ever slept with. Like, I almost sweat underneath it. I would recommend the lightest weight one you could buy if you're not in sub freezing temperatures. But yeah, I I have another project for some of those hexagons I've been crocheting for that blanket that I might show you soon. It's not yet finished, but it'll get there. I don't think the small project will be finished until I knit all of the hexagons for the whole blanket. I don't know, we'll see. I want to thank you so much for watching. If you've made it to the end of this video, you are why I keep doing this. And please give this video a like, subscribe to my channel if you don't already, and leave a comment below to enter to win that little project bag. I hope you have a great day, and I'll see you soon.